I've always loved the idea of Bigfoot. I'm a huge skeptic, but I want to believe. I have to ask, have you ever checked at a Raiders game?
What do you mean?
I've been to some tailgates. That's the first place I'd look.
Oh.
I think I've seen some big feet at Raiders games.
There's some hairy people there.
Welcome to the Something or Other tour. We're in Felton, California. What are you doing?
I was
not convincing at all. Not even a little bit. It's not even a Bigfoot. You're a bear. Welcome to the Something or Other tour. We're in Felton, California, and this is the Bigfoot Discovery Museum.
And it's exactly what it sounds like. A museum dedicated to the discovery and the findings from the Bigfoot community.
Felton is in the Santa Cruz Mountains, which is a hotbed of Bigfoot activity.
We talking big feet.
The name Bigfoot was coined in 1958 when employees of a logging company found what they believed to be very large footprints in the mud near their camps in Northern California's Humboldt County.
Out of all the different folklore out there, Bigfoot is definitely my favorite. It's always intrigued me. I've always loved the idea of it, and I want it to be true so bad.
It looks like trouble's afoot.
Or it could be a hand, or if it's more than one trouble, feet. Trouble's a feet. I absolutely love this kind of stuff. As much as my brother reminds me of Bigfoot, I'm still just not quite sure. So does Steve-O. The term Bigfoot and Sasquatch are pretty interchangeable. Sasquatch was a Native American term for a big hairy man. Indigenous tribes all over the world. Dude, I told you we're not doing the bear thing. Dude, I gotta deal with the clone. I gotta deal with you. It's just, come on, dude.
But I've rented it, dude.
Cultures all around the world have their own stories of a big, hairy, ape-like creature lurking around in the wilderness. And the indigenous cultures of North America were no exception. Many of them had a story of a big hairy man or hairy family.
Down in Central California, there's a place called Painted Rock. And down there, they discovered some ancient petroglyphs depicting a wild hairy man.
Is there a 7-foot-tall ape-like creature lurking in these hills?
This place is filled to the brim, bursting at the seams with Bigfoot memorabilia, souvenirs, doodads, gizmos. The section's dedicated to Bigfoot in pop culture. All sorts of stuff. Scooby-Doo, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Harry and the Hendersons. Now, who doesn't love the story of Bigfoot?
Michael Rugg, who started the Bigfoot Discovery Museum in 2004, claims he saw Bigfoot when he was a young child in Humboldt County. Since then, he's been chasing the elusive creature in the Santa Cruz Mountains and has claimed to have encountered it more than once.
But what originally made you become this is a passion for you, right? So
Yeah, well, I saw one as a child. Of course, that memory was put to the back of my mind. I went to Stanford on a 4-year scholarship. And when I was there, I declared an art major because that comes natural to me.
Oh, okay, so you did all these drawings?
Yes.
Okay.
But I thought, well, I should also do my Bigfoot research. So I made a list of classes. I went to the registrar and I said, if I took these classes, would that yield a degree of any sort? He said, yeah. You'd have a degree in physical anthropology. So I thought, well, that's great. I'll go for both. And so I took my first class in physical anthropology, and the professor said, write a paper, 7 to 12 pages, on a subject of your choice. Well, guess what I chose?
Yeah.
And the professor said, no. And I said, why? Because you don't believe it? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, that's begging the question. That's what my paper will speak to.
Yeah.
There's the reasons why it could be believed and why it should be studied further.
Yeah, and education's meant to challenge.
Yes. He asked for 7 to 12 pages, and I gave them 37 pages. Illustrated.
Oh, so this is your original...
That's the paper.
1967.
That's the same year Patterson shot the movie.
Was it this before or after?
Before the movie.
The most defining and infamous event in the story of America's Sasquatch was in 1967, when the most famous footage tied to the cryptid was shot along the Klamath River in far northern California by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin. Some, including Michael Rugg, consider this the most compelling evidence that exists.
What to you is the most compelling evidence?
Patterson Gimlin film.
Okay, so that's the
one.
famous one, right?
Yeah. I mean, there it is. You can see
Yeah,
it right
yeah.
there in plain sight, daytime.
Yeah.
It's really good evidence.
The Patterson Gimlin film came at the perfect time. Creature films, the supernatural, Roswell aliens, creepy folklore were all the rage. Film cameras were just becoming available to the average consumer, which allowed for these pieces of footage to surface. Television was now a household item, and the famous footage could be seen and referenced on any channel and any show.
Matter of fact, in the back, I had a map of where I was planning to go that summer.
Yeah.
Patterson shot the movie right there in the middle of that area. So I was going to go the same place he went. He got the film, though,
Yeah.
before I had a chance. Because I met a young woman at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah, I think we all get sidetracked by that at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
My mind went away from Bigfoot into other things.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
A lot of the Bigfoot sightings happen in the Pacific Northwest. Dude, what are you... You're supposed to be watching them. My bad. Get out of here.
There's Bigfoot stories all over the Pacific Northwest, Santa Cruz Mountains here, all through Oregon, Washington, and of course across the world. Nepal, the Himalayas. There's also Bigfoot stories down in the south, like in the mountains of Georgia. But we know the real deal. It's right around here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. All sorts of casts of different footprints found all over the world. There's maps, first-hand accounts, all the fun pop culture stuff.
You know, you're my favorite cryptid. I'm real, though. Debatable.
Out the back here, there's more stuff to look at. Is this my spirit animal here? Got a bunch of other legendary creatures. We got the jackalope, we got the Fiji mermaid. Looks like whatever creature this was took a bullet to the forehead. Here it says that the Patterson film, the most famous of the films, some people claimed it was a hoax. Famous creature artists in Hollywood helped with it. Possible. There was a Bigfoot mystery museum in Seattle, Washington back in the 70s, and they went up there and got some of these big giant figures from there and brought them here. Hard to see on camera, but they're really, really cool, and they creeped me out the first time I looked in. It's so cool that these were preserved from an old museum though. There's one right here leaning down looking at us, and there's one tucked behind the tree over here.
I don't know why people don't want to accept it. They just, they don't want to believe.
Yeah.
So they deny it.
Like, I'll be honest, I'm skeptical, but I want to believe so bad. I definitely feel like the claims have slowed down. I know there was those two guys a few years ago, maybe 5 to 10 years ago now, that claimed to kill one.
Well, those guys were jerks. The one of them still, or up until just a couple of years ago, was still utilizing that to get attention.
Yeah, yeah.
And even generate a little bit of money.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of finding a Bigfoot and just immediately killing it either.
No.
You know?
Gimlin and Patterson, they talked about it, and they said that they weren't going to shoot one unless it was attacking.
Yeah, yeah.
They determined that way ahead.
How tall are they saying it is there?
Well, that one there is that's a life-size blow-up on the wall there by the door.
Oh, okay.
It's between 6.5 and 7 feet tall.
Okay.
But it's a female.
See, I'm wondering how athletic they are. Like
I think they're pretty damned athletic.
So you think they'd be more of a center or power forward? Could they run the court like a young Shaq, or are they in the low post like big country Bryant Reeves? I want to know their athleticism.
Well, I think that they're an equal of Shaq.
So the idea is they're pretty smart, right? Pretty intelligent creatures.
They have language.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, they are telepathic.
Uh-oh.
No, people claim the Bigfoot have talked to them in their minds.
Maybe that was the Bigfoot I've been hearing all these years.
Even Les Stroud. He said, there's only one person I found online who knows the real truth, and that's Kiwani. Well, I met Kiwani back in '87 at a symposium in Washington, a meeting of the Cryptozoology Society, and Kiwani wrote a book. His first book was called The Psychic Sasquatch and Their UFO Connection.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking.
That's
I was
right
like,
to the
if they're telepathic, Maybe there's some other stuff going on, and maybe it's extraterrestrial.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be cool. I want to be abducted by aliens too, but I don't want the probing. I always hear about the probing. As long as I could hang out with them, I'm totally down for that. But
Right.
not if they're gonna
Well,
poke
a
and
woman
prod.
came-
This isn't the Bear Discovery Museum. All the bears have been discovered. No more discovery needed. Got to deal with a clone, got to deal with Yogi Bear over here.
It's a global phenomenon. There are unidentified hairy people all over the planet.
Yeah,
Just like there are people all over the planet.
yeah.
So they are a close relative as far as I'm concerned.
If there is an alien connection, like with aliens, there's always claims that the government knows, and how much do they know, how much are they involved, and all that. So I'm wondering if it would be the same thing with any Bigfoots or Yetis around the world.
I think so.
Yeah?
I think the government knows about the Bigfoot. And as far as that goes, there's still another story. It's fairly recent, too. This one wasn't 20, 30 years ago. This was in the last 2 or 3 years. 3 cows on a ranch down near Hollister that had their heads pulled off.
Like clean off?
Yeah, not cut.
Okay,
And
that's
so they were
probably
all
pretty messy.
kind of going, what the hell could have done this? And
Yeah.
why? And what's going on here? And a van pulled up. 6
van.
guys got out of the van dressed in uniforms, but there were no markings on the uniforms to indicate what branch of the service they were from.
Yeah.
They had a couple of drones with them. They took the drones into the woods around the ranch and put them up. A short time later, there was gunfire. Then the 6 guys all came out of the woods and all jumped in the van and left.
The Sasquatch, including the American Bigfoot, remains one of the most popular cryptid stories to this day. There's still tons of enthusiasts, it's ingrained in pop culture, and it's still being studied and talked about all around the world.
Seems like once the Bigfoot story grabs someone,
Yeah, once you get it,
once
it gets,
there's a connection, it never leaves.
yeah, it gets under your
One last question. What do they say about men with big feet?
They say they have large male members as well.
Oh man, I thought it was big socks.
No.
I don't know. I have little feet and even smaller socks, unfortunately. So it's not an issue for me.
No, if you have big hands and feet, you're supposed to have a large male member as well.
All right, so Bigfoot's doing well for himself.
Yes.
I'm not sure if Bigfoot is out there or not, but Michael Rugg's sure of it, and he's been a lot closer than I have.
That's it for the Bigfoot Discovery Museum here in Felton, California, in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So stop on by, drop a donation, buy a shirt, keep places like this afloat. I always suspected a connection between the aliens and the Sasquatch, and Michael all but confirmed it. Remember, we have a Patreon, keep this show on the road, bunch of behind the scenes, bonus content, bonus episodes, all kinds of cool stuff on the Patreon. If you'd like to support us, got a bunch of playlists with a bunch of cool stuff there. If you come say hi to Michael here, tell him the Something or Other tour sent you. I mean, we're talking full-blown Sasquatch here. If anyone has any Bigfoot stories, leave a comment, I'd love to hear it. Check it out, all right? Come on down. Like, subscribe, share, do all the cool things that cool kids do. Something or Other tour of our life. Guys, watch out, there's Sasquatch around here. I heard they eat you guys. Look out. Just trying to help. The things we do. This is so ridiculous.